Let me just see a show of hands. How many people here can say that the next 5 years of your lives are going to be just like the previous 5 years of your lives? Well, you can't do it. What we can do is we can plan and we can prepare. What I try and do is to edify them so that when they leave the presentation, they have a better understanding of the business paradigm of life planned communities so that they can ask more penetrating questions of the marketing departments and so that they can really dig down and go underneath so that they thoroughly understand how the whole program works. And then that way, I feel like they can make an intelligent decision regarding moving into a life plan community. Now I'm here to tell you right now that the government has no long-term care plan in mind for you. Can I see a show of hands of who here is on Medicare? Yeah, a lot of people. And I guarantee that you could school me in Medicare. And it's a pretty good program, but it is a health care plan for seniors. It is not a long-term care plan. So if you need extended skilled nursing or you need to have assisted living, which basically is defined as being unable to do 2 out of the 6 activities of daily life, Medicare will not pay for that. They will not pay for extended hospital stays. And the other program that the government offers up is Medicaid. Okay? Now if you've looked at Medicaid at all, you know that Medicaid is an impoverishment program. You have to go broke to avail yourself of Medicaid. Who wants to have to go broke to get long-term care? Nobody. Now you may have heard of this concept called aging in place, right? Well, all that really means is staying in your house, staying in your home. I can't tell you a number of fellows who have told me, I'm not going anywhere. They're going to have to carry me out horizontally. Okay? Okay, fine. But while you live there, is that really the best place for you to live? Do you have lighting that is designed with seniors' eyes in mind? Do you have high contrast carpeting that helps you in spatial relationships? Do you have wide hallways, elevators, grab bars, grab handles, emergency systems to summon immediate assistance? I have one friend of mine a few weeks ago, she lives in a community, 90 years old, and she was walking down the hallway and she took a fall. Now there was a medical staff there within minutes. They got her back to her residence, they checked her out, and everything was fine. Whereas I had a client a couple of years ago who I went over to see and beseeched him to prepare a will. About 4 weeks later, he took a fall and he spent 11 hours on his garage floor calling out for help. And finally the neighbors heard him. And they got him to the hospital and he had a hospital stay. He returned home and he was dead within 4 weeks. Now I'm going to tell you, I don't think that man needed to die. And I'm not going to tell you that if you move into a community that you're going to live longer, right? But all you have to do is Google aging and you will find numerous opinions by medical doctors, by scientists, by psychologists, social workers, everybody in between, that says if people stay engaged, if they continue to evolve, if they are intellectually active, if they have cultural programs, if they have social programs, if they have good nutrition, if they have good exercise, then those are indicators that you're going to live a longer and happier life. So what about your house? No doubt many of you own a house. It is definitely an illiquid asset. You're not earning any interest or investment income, and there are depreciation risks beyond your control. I don't know how much people spend on their houses, but I know how much I've spent on my house, okay? And I live in a very, middle-class neighborhood in a house that was built in 1961. It's a plenty fine house, but in the last 13 years, I've put $148,000 into that house. So the point being is that even if you have your house paid off, you're still paying for it, because you have to pay the property taxes, you have to pay the insurance, and you have to keep it up. You have to maintain it. Otherwise, it's going to depreciate as an asset. And I tell people it's kind of like going to the bank, giving the banker $100,000, and the banker saying, that's fine, I'll keep it for you, but it costs you $5,000 a year. I mean, that's kind of what you're doing with your house. You got to pay $5,000 every year just to, or whatever dollar amount it is that you end up putting into repairs and maintenance and insurance and taxes, just to keep your house to a marketable level. If you do not do that, then you will see that asset decline. And there are certain risks we can't control. Neighborhood foreclosures, increases in crime, poorly funded school districts, anemic economy, weather disasters, and great white sharks attacking your house. Your deed will not pay for repairs, maintenance, a wellness center, fitness instruction, education programs, hospitality, events, entertainment, or a 24/7 emergency response system. So when is the perfect time to sell your house? I do not know that. But what I will tell you is that if you continue to wait, and you think, well, if I just wait a little bit longer, I'll get a little bit more money out of my house, then you are not only subjecting it to depreciation risk, but you are also depriving yourself of a lifestyle that is really more suited for a senior person. There are a ton of services to help people make the move from a house. And that's one thing that tends to overwhelm people. It's like, oh my God, I've lived in this house for 40 years. I got so much stuff, I don't even know where I begin. Well, there are people that are professionals that will help you downsize. And it is amazing, because you can work with an individual like that so that by the time you move into your residence here, you are home. Because they will work with you. Okay, where's this piece of furniture going to go? Where are you going to put this? Where are you going to put this artwork? By the time you move in, it's all there, ready for you. And another thing is, this is a really hard decision to make. Don't get me wrong. I know it's a big deal. But once you get through that decision-making process and you move here, it kind of all just goes away. And you just start to live life on your own terms. You don't have these concerns and problems before that you used to have. And what is the #1 refrain that I hear as I travel around the country from residents? I wish I had done it sooner. I wish I had moved in sooner. Now, what exactly is a continuing care retirement community? Multiple residence options, enriched lifestyle with amenities and hospitality, all levels of assistance and nursing care, and protection against the rising cost of long-term health care. How do you place a value on all the amenities, hospitality, program, and services that you get at a continuing retirement community? And you've probably heard it described that the lifestyle is like a cruise ship without the water, right? And I heard one gentleman say he felt like he was the CEO of a fairly large corporation, because all these people that worked at the community were basically there on his behalf to make him happy. And that is true. And I will also say that when you have a mission-based community, you really do see that in the employees, that they really believe in what they're doing on a daily basis. And so the whole theme of CCRCs is about your well-being, of keeping you going, of keeping you engaged, of keeping you happy. because they want you to continue to live independently for as long as you possibly can. When you move into a community, its whole emphasis is on your well-being. And I tell people all the time, if you just think about it from a financial perspective, it is totally in the community's best interest to keep you going, to keep you motivated, to keep you engaged, because it's a lot less expensive to provide a residence to a person who can live independently than it is, say, a residence where a person needs assisted living or skilled nursing. So they have every motivation in the world to keep you healthy and to keep you happy and to keep you secure and really create an environment and a life experience in your senior years that is non-parial in terms of other living situations. A huge distinguishing feature between continuing care retirement communities and all other senior communities is that if you run out of money, you will not be asked to leave. And if you really had to draw a distinction between life plan communities and other senior communities, I would have to say that look at the benevolence clauses in the contracts, because if you run out of money, you are guaranteed a home for life. And that is huge, because most other senior communities, if you move into them and you can no longer afford to pay on a monthly basis, you have to leave. And here, that's not the case. You get the benefit of having a home for life. It's actually embedded into the contract. What is ACTS Life Care? Priority access to medical services for life, entrance fee options to fit customer preferences, and I think ACTS is very innovative in that regard. No increase in monthly fees solely for higher levels of care, tax benefits on entrance and monthly fees currently averaging around 40%, and medical care provided by people you know and who know you. Now, you may go to another community and you may meet with their marketing staff and you'll say, well, are you a CCRC? Do you all have all the levels of care? And they'll say, oh yeah. We're a CCR. Well, yeah, we got everything. We got assisted living, we have skilled nursing, we have memory support. You know, we got it all. But they're not CCRCs because they don't offer the life care plan, okay? That is a specific type of contract. It is a contract that shifts the risk of long-term care onto the community and away from you. And again, like I said, if you go to one of those communities and you need to move to assisted living, then you're going to pay more. If you go to skilled nursing, you will pay more. Okay? That's the way it works. That's not the way it works at CCRCs. If you're paying X dollars for your residence and you need to go to a higher level of care, it stays at that price point. It doesn't go up simply because you have to go to another level of care. So what does the monthly service fee pay for? Upkeep of grounds and common areas, appliance maintenance, cable, internet, water, sewer, electricity, heat, air conditioning, pest control, roof, water, driveway, foundation, smoke detectors, fire sprinkler system, emergency alert, 24/7 security, transportation, meals, parking, 24/7 access to a resident nurse. What is maintenance-free living? No repairs, no mowing, raking, painting, upkeep, or service bills. But the way I put it is, if it was there before you got there, it is their problem, not your problem. Okay? If you have a leaky faucet, or you have a broken lock, or the blinds don't work, something like that, you call them, they come in, they fix it. One of the things is that with dependable budgeting, if your contract year is April 1, then you know from that date for 12 months down to the penny what you're going to pay. Okay? Now that helps you a lot with your financial planning to know that you're never going to pay any more than that whole year. Now you may go decide to spend money on something else, but when it comes to your living, you will not pay. You'll know to the penny exactly how much you're going to pay. It's not as if when you move into a community you are so jazzed about the life care plan that you can't wait until it happens. You know, nobody's like, I can't wait till I get to skilled nursing so I can really, you know, take the financial benefit of my life care plan, right? I wouldn't wish it on anybody. But here's the deal. We buy insurance all the time for things that we hope never happen, right? I mean, we buy homeowners insurance, and we buy automobile insurance, and it goes on, the different types of insurance that you can buy. The life care plan is something there that is a fail-safe for you. And I want to share something with you about health care costs that basically they exceed inflation by double. So whatever the inflation rate is, you can pretty much plan on the health care being double that. And health care is one of those things that ain't never going down. And so to the extent that you can control those costs and you can put a lid on them, then you may end up saving your family tens of thousands of dollars. You may have heard, or I've certainly introduced you to the notion that there are some tax benefits to living at a continuing care retirement community. So I'm going to show you this little video that explains how it works. But just bear in mind, for tax year 2016, ACTS attributed 40.9% of its entrance fees to future medical, okay? And I'll explain that when I get back.
The Internal Revenue Code allows a deduction from an individual's income tax for medical care expenses for taxpayers, their spouses, and dependents. Those expenses cannot already have been compensated by insurance, and the deduction only applies to expenses that exceed 7.5% of the taxpayer's adjusted gross income. As of January 1, 2013, the threshold increased to 10%, except that through 2016 it will remain at 7.5% for those taxpayers age 65 and above. As of January 1, 2017, all taxpayers will be subject to the 10% adjusted gross income threshold with no exception based on age. In 1996, the Internal Revenue Code was amended by the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act, HIPAA, to specify that medical expenses include qualified long-term care services. Numerous IRS rulings establish that portions of entrance fees and monthly service fees paid by independent living residents of continuing care retirement communities are deductible to the extent that they represent a charge or prepayment for future assisted living or skilled nursing care. The practice of most CCRCs is to provide their residents with a statement at the end of each tax year advising what percentage of the entrance fee and what percentage of the monthly service fee are apportioned as prepaid future long-term medical care. Because the entrance fee is a one-time only payment, its qualified portion can only be deducted from income taxes for the taxable year in which it was paid. However, the monthly service fee qualified portion can be deducted from year to year. So let's take a look at how this might work, with the caveat that you should always consult with a qualified tax accountant, tax attorney, or financial advisor whether the deduction is allowed in your circumstance. Let's say that you, the taxpayer, have income of $50,000 a year. Presuming you're 65 years of age or older, then your threshold amount that you must pay before a deduction is allowed is 7.5%, or $3,750. Now let's assume that your entrance fee is $250,000 and your community apportions 10% of that as payment for future long-term medical care. 10% would be $25,000. Let's also assume that your monthly service fee is $3,000 with 20%, or $600 monthly, $7,200 annually, apportioned by your community as payment for future long-term medical care. By adding the $25,000 portion of the entrance fee together with the $7,200 monthly service fee, you have $32,200 of future medical, which is offset or reduced by the 7.5% minimum threshold amount based on your annual income. So theoretically, you could enjoy a $28,450 tax deduction following the first tax year that you live in a community. And remember, you can continue to deduct a portion of your monthly service fee from your tax burden annually once you reach that threshold amount as set by the IRS.
When you are not-for-profit, you are what we call mission-based, okay? The mission of ACTS is a model of wellness living, incorporating soundness of mind, spirit, and body with the core values of compassion, respect, accountability, and excellence. The benefits of being a not-for-profit: you have those mission-based values, the income is reinvested into the community, you have favorable tax credits and exemptions, preferred pricing on goods and services, reduced operating costs, which usually result in lower fees, no shareholders or stockholders, and you'll never be asked to leave if you run out of money. One of the things that I think that you'll find as you do your due diligence and look into continuing care retirement communities is that the ones that are not-for-profit, they're a lot more transparent with their financials. Because the ones that are for-profit, frankly, they get a little skitterish out of people seeing how much profit the shareholders and the investors are sucking out of the community. Whereas on the not-for-profit, they're very, very candid and accessible, because the monies go right back into the community again. You do not have people that continue to demand higher and higher profits on a yearly basis. Now let me ask you this: how many have long-term care insurance? Okay, a fair number of you. In fact, I'd say most of you. So you may be sitting there going, do I really need the life care program if I have long-term care insurance, right? Am I not duplicating benefits? The first thing I'm going to tell you is that a long-term care insurance plan is just a financial benefit. In other words, if you cannot perform 2 out of the 6 activities of daily living, then you can probably make a successful claim against your long-term care carrier, and they will pay you. They will start to pay you. Of course, there's always exclusion periods, 3 months, 120 days, 6 months, where you don't get the benefit. But once you satisfy that, you can usually make a successful claim. But I tell people all the time that long-term care insurance works beautifully at continuing care retirement communities. The long-term care insurance comes into play if you are living independently and then you need to go to a higher level of care. Well, now a percentage of your monthly service fee is being apportioned to assisted living or skilled nursing or memory support. Okay? So if you were paying $3,000 and you go to assisted living, well, it's still only $3,000, but now a percentage of it is being based on the fact that you are being provided assisted living. So if you were paying $3,000 and now $1,200 is for assisted living, then you can make a claim against your long-term care insurance provider, and they will start paying that dollar amount to you on a monthly basis. So now where you were paying $3,000 a month, you're only paying $1,800 a month, because long-term care insurance is now paying $1,200 a month. If you don't have long-term care insurance, that's where the life care plan comes in. You don't have to have it, because if you move to assisted living and it's costing you $3,000 a month to live, then it will stay at $3,000 a month. And so 15, 20 years ago, if you were shopping for long-term care insurance, you had 100 or so carriers to choose from. Well, today, if you're shopping for long-term care insurance, you got 10 carriers. So it is an industry that has been going through phenomenal change. And that's why I really invite you to go ahead and take out that policy and look at it again. Look at what the exclusion periods are. Look at how long you can pay and still receive return of premium reimbursement. Look at whether or not it has a portability factor, so that one spouse can avail him or herself of the other spouse's unused portion of it if one spouse should pass away. There's a lot of things in these policies. Look at the period of time at which you'll have to pay out of pocket before the policy kicks in. These are all things you need to look at and consider, just so that you understand, you know, exactly what it is that you've been paying for all these years. They call it the silver tsunami, okay? It's 10,000 people every day turning age 65, and that will continue to occur until the year 2030, when the youngest of the baby boomers hit age 65. The point being is that we do not have enough senior residential housing. There are going to be more and more and more people filling the pipeline. And so you are going to find that continuing care retirement communities are going to continue to burgeon, and they will, many of them already have waiting lists. And so there's a bit of urgency to this, because you may find if you wait too long, you may find yourself unable to get the apartment or the residence that you want. If I had to give one piece of advice to people who are considering moving into a community, it would be to act sooner rather than later. Not only do I hear the constant refrain from residents at communities of, I wish I had moved here sooner, but it can be very perilous if you experience a medical event that would be deleterious to your health. You may not qualify for the life care plan. And that's a shame, because had you acted sooner and gone in as an independent living person, then you would have been eligible for the life care plan, which is really the bedrock of continuing care retirement communities. And if you wait too long, it may be too late.